Good morning, reception. How are you doing today? I hope you're well. We are going to start our lesson today by reading a story. Now, it's a story that I think you're all going to know, but you need to be listening really carefully because today we're going to retell the story. So we're going to listen to the story and then we're going to say what happens in our own words. So you need to be listening really carefully. Are you ready? So the story is Jack and the Beanstalk. I'm sure you've all heard this story before. Once upon a time, there was a boy called Jack. Jack lived in a cottage with his mother. They were very poor and their most valuable possession was a cow. One day, Jack's mother asked him to take the cow to market to sell. Well, how do you think Jack feels? And how do you think the cow feels? Tell your adults how you think they feel. I think they probably feel quite sad. It looks like they feel sad. On the way, Jack met a man who gave him some magic beans in exchange for a cow. Or for the cow, sorry. When Jack came home with the beans, his mother was angry. She threw the beans out of the window and sent him to bed. The next morning, Jack looked out of the window. A giant beanstalk had grown in the garden. How do you think Jack feels now? Now he's woken up and seen this giant beanstalk. I think he's probably quite surprised. Do you think he feels happy? Let's see. Jack decided to climb the beanstalk. It was so tall it went right up into the sky and through the clouds. When Jack finally reached the top, he saw an enormous castle. Can you tell your adult, what does enormous mean? What does that word enormous mean? It means huge. It means really, really big. Jack decided to go inside. All of the furniture was huge. I wonder why the furniture's big. Can you tell your adults why the furniture might be so big? Oh, let's see. Suddenly, Jack heard a loud noise. He ran into a cupboard to hide. Children, what sort of word is loud? Have a think about what you've been learning about last week. What sort of word is loud? It's an adjective. Well done. Give yourselves a pat on the back if you got that one right. An enormous giant came into the room. Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman, he bellowed. That means he shouted with a really deep voice. The giant sat down at the table. On the table was a hen and a golden harp. Lay, said the giant. The hen laid an egg. It was made out of solid gold. Sing, said the giant. The harp sang and the giant fell asleep. Jack jumped out of the cupboard and took the hen and the harp. As Jack ran, the harp cried, "Help, master!" Uh-oh, what's going to happen now? The giant woke up and called, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." He chased Jack to the top of the beanstalk. Jack climbed down the beanstalk and the giant followed him. How do you think Jack feels now, children? I think he's probably quite scared. I think I'd be scared if a giant was chasing me. As Jack got to the bottom of the beanstalk, he shouted, "Help!" Jack's mother came out with an axe. She used it to chop the bottom of the beanstalk. The giant fell and crashed to the ground. He was never seen again. With the golden eggs and the magic harp, Jack and his mother lived happily ever after. Okay, reception, so that's the end of our story today. Now today you're going to be using your words to retell the story. So that means you are going to be telling your mummies, daddies, adults the story of Jack and the Beanstalk using your own words. Okay? So I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, are you ready? Are you listening? I'm going to retell the story. I'm not going to read what the story says. I'm going to use my own words to say it. Are you ready? Here we go. So first there was a boy called Jack, and he lived with his mum in a cottage. They were very poor though, and they were very poor, and they had this cow, which Jack's mum said, "Oh Jack, could you take the cow and sell it for us to get some money?" So Jack did. The cow and Jack were both sad about that. But on the way, Jack met a man who gave him some magic beans. Jack was happy with his beans, but his mum was very angry and she threw them out of the window. But the next morning when Jack woke up, the beans had grown into a gigantic beanstalk which stretched right up into the sky. Jack was very excited and happy. He climbed the beanstalk all the way to the top, and when he got there, he saw a huge castle. He went inside and everything was massive. But then he heard a loud noise. He felt really scared and worried, so he went to hide in a cupboard. And then suddenly a giant came into the room shouting, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." Jack was still hiding in the cupboard, but he could see the giant sit at the table with a hen and a golden harp. The hen and the golden harp were both magic. And the giant fell asleep. So Jack jumped out, took the hen and the harp and ran. Where do you think he's going to run to? Yes, he ran to the beanstalk. But then the giant woke up and chased him to the beanstalk and started climbing down. Luckily, Jack got to the bottom though and managed to shout for help. So his mum came and chopped the beanstalk down and the dragon fell. And nobody knows what happened to the giant because nobody ever saw him again. And then Jack and his mum lived happily ever after, and they even got their cow back at the end of the story. So can you see, reception, how I have retold you the story of Jack and the Beanstalk in my own words? I've told you what's happened. I would like you to tell your mummies and daddies the story of Jack and the Beanstalk in your own words, please. So start from the beginning. So first, what happened? Go through the story until you get to the end. Okay? So you're telling your mummies and daddies what happened in the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. You're retelling the story yourself. And I know that you all know this story really well. So you should be able to do this. Okay? See if when you're retelling the story, see if you can use some adjectives when you're retelling the story. Okay?